I need
like
to
3
pull
different
up the
people.
highlights on my phone because I know for a fact it's too many for Goodreads because it was too many for book 2 and I took more for book 3. In fact, you want to guess how many highlights I took for book 3 in the Mindfuck series, a book that is 114 pages?
147.
213.
Oh, okay.
When I
You know what?
when I said that it was a lot, I meant it was a lot.
I got up, I got dressed, I ate food, and then I washed my face, and I straightened my hair, and I got dressed. Don't forget, I took my medication, and I have caffeine, and
I
I
don't need
read a
caffeine.
few pages of Heartstopper before you called.
I cleaned my whole house and then took a shower and then finished this book. I forgot the fourth one is longer, so I just expected that like it would take like an hour to finish it in the morning, after like reading for like 2 hours in the middle of the night. No, it took 2 hours because, and hear me out, the fourth one's 140 pages, and the
Yes.
next one, the last one, is 170 pages. I'm pretty sure.
I forget there's 5.
Yeah, there's 5. Be happy that I paused to record these instead of just going to the 5th one. I'm
I
literally
mean,
gonna
it's
have to force
like
myself to take a break from reading because this is not okay. I will literally just cry in a corner all weekend if I just read the whole book right now.
don't you have other books to read too?
I technically no. I mean, unless if you
Oh,
count Evelyn Hugo, but who really needs to read Evelyn Hugo?
you bitch!
I'm
Don't
gonna
worry,
need
I
a
still love
palate
you.
cleanser after this, so I'm gonna have to read more monster smut.
I sent you a Valentine's Day card. Obviously, I love you. I literally sent them on Valentine's Day, even though I thought about the idea of doing them in fucking January.
Oh my god. Okay, hello, welcome to a Fish and Flower podcast. There we go. Uh, I'm Flower, aka Rose, and my fun fact is just gonna be about if I sound different, if I act different recording this episode. That's because normally, as I've been reading the books in the Mindfuck series, the next day we record the episode for that book, and then later that night I start the next one. Except there was something with timing and unable to record after I read the third one. So then, last night, I started the fourth one before we recorded. I just finished reading the fourth one, and now we're recording the third one, and I am emotionally not okay.
Like, I'm concerned.
It's fine. It's only my second 5-star read of the year.
Can't relate. I'm unwell in my brain.
So am I, clearly, from the shit I just read.
Yeah, I noticed.
um, Spoiler for the fourth one,
This
people
being
get filleted,
said,
and I laughed.
yeah, if anyone's out of the two of us, if anyone's gonna get arrested for murder,
It's
not
me.
me.
It's me.
Especially with the woods. I don't have woods. I have a giant field. I don't got the woods.
I got the giant field and the woods. Look at me go.
I mean, there's a giant field behind my house, but I still live in the city, so.
Mm. But yeah, so going through this one, I'm literally going, like, actually scrolling through the book on my phone, looking at my highlights directly to make sure I do not give any spoilers for the fourth one and talking about the third one. Which is interesting because the fourth one, titled All the Lies, it makes sense because the fourth one is pretty obvious from the ending of the third one, is about everything that happened.
Mhm.
So you can, yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail. You're welcome, but things happen.
Why are you saying you're welcome like you're doing me a favor?
I'm doing you a favor, trust me. I read that shit and I went, oh god. Do your intro. I need this episode
Hi.
to be fast as fuck so that I can talk about the fourth book.
Girl, then shut up so I can do my intro. My name is Fish, aka Stingray, and I have an interesting fun fact. Apparently, my brain can't work for any other reason, but predicting the future, it's working lately. Cause I was thinking about somebody, a lot recently, and I just felt like they were gonna be like, hey, and then they were like, hey, and then last night I wanted to listen to "You're Losing Me" by Taylor Swift, and I've listened to it twice since it's come to streaming, for my own mental health. I was like, I want to listen to "You're Losing Me," so I was like, okay, and then after that, obviously, I was like, I need to go to bed. And then we put on a Taylor album because now I want to listen to Taylor. I was like, Fearless, maybe. Pigtail, probably. Red, But then I was like, I'm gonna listen to Red anyways. And you know what happened? She played "You're Losing Me" and Red as surprise songs. I fucking knew. I fucking knew in my brain. That's actually insane. Like, think about it. Out of all the songs she could have played, Red and "You're Losing Me? What the fuck? Anyways, I'm a genius, obviously.
We have very separate things happening in our lives. My whole life is this book series now. I literally read Monster Smut in between reading the third and fourth one. I read the first novella in the Kraken Smut series. Because I was like, I need a palate cleanser. So I read that shit, and then I started the fourth one. And it didn't help. I had to read about eggs being implanted into her uterus. And it didn't help. I'm still...
Also, isn't that the one about outside and I'm concerned? I think she's depressed today because Mom went back to work.
Yeah. Okay, so I haven't talked about it much in this series. I, haven't brought up every tiny little detail. Even though it feels like I do, I honestly don't. Right? I feel like I should go into content warnings first. It's the same as all the other ones. This is Secret Angel, of course. The titles of each one does have to do with the story. This one is about more of Lana's journey, being more of a guardian angel, viewing herself as a guardian angel, and whatnot. So, good times.
I supported her more when you weren't, so unnormal about it.
Graphic, content warnings for murder, rape, and torture. This one, it does say in the synopsis that, it goes into more details in the stuff about the past. It has nothing on the fourth one, let me tell you. But it does. So, I do like the fact that she brings it up in the synopsis, and also in the actual book, she's like, hey, if this is too much for you, and you don't want to read that, skip the italics, because all the stuff in the past is in italics, so she's like, skip the italics if you don't want to deal with that. Which is valid. 100%.
Anyways, I would like you to know that I threw a cotton ball in my trash can all the way across my room, and I made it.
I love that for you. Anyways, my secondary title for the third one, because this one has a secondary title, by me, is the female friendship one.
Girl,
Anyways, good times. So, if you haven't listened to the previous 2 episodes on this book series, listen to them. If you're on YouTube, I will have them in a playlist by this point, and they'll be up above in the cards, so they're right there. Listen to them. Right?
That's nice.
But very, very basic information. Lana kills people, specifically people, who, do sexual illegal things. And, she tortures and kills them. And then also, at the same time, she also, at the same time, is dating an FBI agent who happens to be the head of the task force against her, going against her, but he doesn't know it's her, and all this stuff, right? That is the very basic information about the series. I think I brought up in the second episode where each book starts with, the list of all her kills, right, so far. And then, it also has a quote, and here's the thing with the quotes. At the beginning of each chapter, there's also a quote. I've not brought it up at all, really. In the first one, it was Einstein. I think the second one was Colter or something like that. I think it's brought up in this one, so I will know when I come across that highlight. This one, it is William Shakespeare, because that was her brother's favorite, because he was a romantic. Einstein was for her dad. The other one was for her mom. The fourth one, fun fact, is Voltaire, because that's her favorite, right? But it always, like, also starts with a quote by that person, but this one starts with a quote from Lana Myers herself, the main character of the book, saying, to defeat a monster, you have to be twice as monstrous. To love a monster, you have to share your soul. Um, so that's fun. Anyways, if you don't remember, the second one ends with, Clemens / the boogeyman, the other serial killer that Logan, the FBI agent, is hunting down, who has been targeting Logan, and to get to Logan, they're 100% sure he's gonna go after Lana, because she's his girlfriend, right? So the book ends with... the book ends with her being dumb, entering her house, not recognizing that's unlocked, and also there's music playing that wasn't played before. I then getting knocked over the head by Clemens saying some creepy shit to her, right?
Well, so, I to giggle. Like, why is that kind of funny? Like, you don't notice your serial killer.
Cough. She did notice. She did notice. This was all planned by Lana.
What?
She knew. She noticed. She was like, he finally came for me.
Okay.
It was all secretly. He thought he was setting up a trap for her, but secretly it was all a trap for him. I love her.
What the fuck?
Anyways, instead of starting off with that, it starts with Logan's POV about a few hours earlier, right? So there was also a thing where Clemens had taken a girl captive, a 20-year-old girl who was the daughter of the head of the SWAT department, who so that he could, like, use her as blackmail to get him to give him information about what the police are doing, right? And so they all just assumed this girl was dead. But at the end of the book, they get news that the girl was just dropped off 2 hours, like, away, and is, like, alive, and only asking, for Logan, only will talk to Logan. She won't let anyone, talk to her, not even her own father. She won't, like, talk to her own father. Her father has been arrested for, like, giving this criminal information. They don't know what they're gonna, like, the exact charges they're gonna put on him, but they do let him out to see his daughter, and she won't talk to him until she talks to Logan, right? Which is a little suspicious. So she starts, she's, like, immediately, like, rambling about how Clemens let her go and said that if she doesn't do exactly what he says, he will come back and kill her, and that she has to show Logan something, and only Logan. She lifts up the blanket that they gave her to show her cut up leg or thigh. He's all like, what the fuck? And everyone else in the room is like, she wouldn't let us even check her out. Like, we couldn't do anything, right? And so, she lifts up her skirt to reveal it's her inner thigh too. And it says, he carved into her, I know, right? He carved into her skin there, her safe. Now, another thing, Clarence has been carving things into people's bodies for a little bit now.
Carving hurts so much more than just, like, a regular cut. So, like, is she good?
It's not Lana doing that.
I know who's doing it. That's why I'm like, is this girl good? Is this poor girl good? Because carving hurts so much more than just a normal cut. So you have to go over that shit, and then it's like all in effect.
Yeah, no. It's because he's done it to other people. Yeah, basically there was.
Yeah, but they were dead.
Not Lisa, Logan's ex. Lisa was alive.
God.
And he carved keep in her arm. Basically the first one he carved into was the judge's wife, who he then hanged over, like, the railing and carved Logan's name, and said
okay, the majority of them have been dead.
Yes. Well, 2 out of 4. So half.
Whatever. You know what I mean.
I think hers said something along the lines of it said Logan's name, and then there was the one that he put on top of the car in the middle of the street, and hers said you can't. And then he crashed the car with the 2 female detectives. Speaking of which, the one that isn't Lisa, his ex, has, like, 3 broken ribs, her leg's broken, like, 2 places, and broken arm, and she's still on crutches, just going around investigating things.
The heck?
She won't use a wheelchair, and I'm just like, girl, please.
That seems unethical that they're still letting her work.
I know, right? But Lisa had keep carved into her arm, and so with I think her name's Erica. This girl is her safe. So it basically says, Logan Bennett, you can't keep her safe. In all caps, even with a period. He even put in the period mark. Obviously, Logan recognizes this is about Lana, freaks out. Starts trying to call her, it goes straight to voicemail. So he calls the patrol people that were supposed to be in front of her house. From Lana's POV, at the end of the last book, they weren't there anymore. And so he's all like, hey, where is my girlfriend? And they're like, oh, sorry, sir. Someone was supposed to tell you we were pulled off to help find the kids, from Hadley's stepfather's murders. They were sent to help unbury the bodies. Right? So he immediately hangs up because he's freaking out. And calls up Duke, who was the detective that was specifically put onto Lana to keep her safe. Weirdly choked her, and then was put in charge of the case about those kid bodies. And so he calls up Duke, and he's all like, "Hey, tell me you're with Lana." And he's like, "No, I thought she was with you. I saw her back at your headquarters." And basically the two departments weren't communicating properly. And, so everyone they thought that she was at the FBI headquarters. And the FBI people thought that the police department was at her house. So they let her go home.
Don't you love police incompetence? Like...
And so, yeah, Duke kind of feels bad. Cause they're all like, "Ah, shit, dude."
You're having the time of your life, and I love that for you. You needed that.
Yeah, so basically, no one knows where Lana is. Bum bum bum. Okay, so he's rushing to her house. Literally, just swerving through traffic, not pressing the brake at all. Straight up going. He's gotta go fast. Alright? And he's doing the math in his head that Lana left the FBI headquarters an hour before he did. And it takes about half an hour to get home. So that's half an hour that she was on her own. And it took him 2 hours to get to where Erica was. So that's about 2.5 hours she's been on her own, and it's probably gonna be at least another hour and a half. In the middle of nowhere, where there's no one who can hear her scream. So he's panicking, and then it does the craziest fucking thing. Never happened before in this whole entire series. And it cuts to Hadley's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I remember freaking out because I was like, okay, give me the Lana POV. I want to see her beat his ass. Because I was like, okay, I'm worried for her because I feel like I should be, but also I recognize that she could beat his ass in 5 seconds flat. So, give me the Lana POV. We don't get the Lana POV of this. We get the Hadley POV of this. And then there's a quote from The Tempest directly. None of the other William Shakespeare quotes in this book have specific plays, except for this one. And it's The Tempest, and it's hell is empty and all the devils are here. I read The Tempest. I read The Tempest a while ago, and I don't quite remember, so I can't give context.
I've never read any Shakespeare.
I read a lot of Shakespeare. I read at least 2 every year, so. So, it starts with Hadley near the end of the previous book, right? So there was this point where Hadley looked weirdly at Lana, and Logan noticed this but didn't think too much about it, and he was like, I'll ask her about it later. Well, she was looking weirdly at Lana because she noticed that the little girl who, the Scarlet Slayer, Lana's serial killer persona, who killed her stepfather, the little girl that she saved oddly waved at Lana, which is suspicious, right? And then the girl told her that her guardian angel was there and would protect her. When Hadley tried to talk to her, the girl to be like, hey, the same man who hurt you hurt me, stuff. And what are you? You cannot be saying me co-star right now.
What do you want from me? I'm doing my nails instead of scrolling through Instagram, okay? Does that make you feel better?
Slightly. She's all like, okay, that's a little weird. She suspects that Lana is the Scarlet Slayer, but she's all like, there's no way it could be Lana. For numerous reasons. But she still decides to go check out her house while Lana is knowably at the
God.
FBI headquarters. So the whole time she's driving to Lana's house, she's thinking that she's just too emotional about everything that's happened, all the revelations in her life. And so she's just going crazy, but she also has this gut feeling. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna check it out to make sure I'm not crazy. And then she also recognizes that Logan said the serial killer had a reason to knew about Hadley's past and focused on it. And at the beginning of the second book, Hadley confronted Lana about her name change and everything, and assumably stealing the identity of a dead girl. Cough, cough, yes. And so she recognizes that doing that gave Lana a reason to look into her past. And that she was too calm about everything when she brought it up. And so then she's all like, oh my god, it must be Lana. But then she's also like, Lana's too small to carry a giant-ass man up and down stairs and up a hill into the ocean and all this stuff.
I wouldn't, if she can do that, she has to be visibly muscled. In some sort of toned. Are these people just stupid?
It is described that Lana makes sure that most of her exercise nowadays is running. And so, and whatnot. She, says that she took self-defense classes, but she mostly does running, so that and makes sure she eats a lot of food so she looks slightly pudgier than she actually is. Right? So people just think she's,
She's just bulky.
Yeah, no, she purposely makes it look like she's, 5'4" and slightly pudgy. When really she could strangle a man with her thighs, cough, cough.
LOL. Oh shit! I almost spilled nail polish, it's fine.
Been there, done that. So she's worried that if Logan learns that she does this, he's gonna think she's crazy, especially because she's accusing his girlfriend. So, good times. She basically walks right in because the door's unlocked. Doesn't question that. Does not question that at all. Goes upstairs immediately, which is where Lana's kill room is. But basically, it's set up as a small mini library and whatnot.
That's why that's coded.
I know, right? And then there's a secret, behind the bookshelves. If you pull the bookshelves apart, you can get into to this door with a security code thing. To get in, and that's how you get into a kill room. So no, it just looks like a small library room with 4 bookshelves, and that's it, right? And just a random apple with some nails in it. That's weird. Cough, cough. Her trophies. So she goes up there. She's like, okay, there's nothing up here. It must be weird. When Plymouth jumps out and attacks her, right? He basically takes her gun and then handcuffs her hands behind her with her own handcuffs, and then ties her feet to her hands.
Damn.
So, yeah. And then he carries her downstairs, purposely whacks her head a few times on doorways and whatnot, and stuffs her in a closet. He does say that you'll have to wait your turn. I'll even overlook your red hair, because his thing is brunette, and I forgot to mention, because I didn't think it was important, that Hadley is a redhead. So she's not only gay, but she's also a redhead.
She did that just for you.
So, yeah. Also, he gags her. And then duct tapes the gag.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So basically, he throws her in the closet, kicks her into it, and it's one of those closets where the doors have the slats on it, so you can see through, and it has a direct view of the front entryway, so that she'll be able to watch everything he does to Lana. And he straight up says, "Enjoy the show, Agent Grace. At least you'll know what's coming next." Basically, the whole thing is that he's gonna force Hadley to watch what he does to Lana, knowing that Hadley will be next. Anyways,
Yeah.
So he immediately slams like Lana's head against the wall as when she enters the house. Um, all this stuff. It like goes into the point where like Tell Me Princess, Are You Afraid of the Boogeyman, which was how the last one ended, throws her across the wall, and then she starts laughing,
Uh,
and she's like, Boogeyman, took you long enough. And he's like confused. He's like, hello? Uh, and the whole thing is like he acts out, he like gets off on his victim's fear and pain, and she's just like, wow, took you long enough to get here. um, uh, so basically it's more of like, throwing her around a little bit, uh, and then he throws her the front of her against the wall and comes up behind her and starts like undoing his belt, being all like, yay, good times. Not laughing now, are you? Uh, you won't be laughing anymore tonight. And then she's just like, I think that's enough damage to make this believable. And he's all like, wait, what? And then she straight up bodies this bitch so hard. She beats him up. Um,
Yep.
Yep. First, she elbows him in the face. Um,
You're so happy about this.
yep. Her face is like bleeding a little bit from him like bashing her around, and she's just like, smiling. Uh, and all the stuff.
That's so irritating.
So he comes at her again. She knees him in the ribs, and so he's like doubles over, coughing, and uh, like stamps down on his back with her booted foot. And then he slams into the wall. Uh, and then she's like, sadly, I can't leave too many bruises because then they'll get suspicious. And so then he pulls out a knife, his like murder knife.
This shouldn't be fun.
Yeah. And then she says, "Oh, how I wish I could sit you down and take you like you took the from all those women, make you feel the same pain and terror they felt. But I can't. I can, however, strip you of all that pride you hold so dearly, all that power you think you have. Then I can kill you." He charges at her, and she just dodges him. Uh, Hadley, again, this is Hadley's POV. She's seen all of this, and she, with the dodging, she, views it as, like, someone playing with their food. So, yeah, Hadley views her dodgings, of him as, like, someone playing with her food. um, so, Lana, like, twists his wrist with a knife so, like, he has to drop it, and then she spins and kicks his feet out from under him, and then she kicks the knife away. He rushes towards a table, going for the gun she has hidden. But she drops and grabs the knife, his knife, and throws it into like the drawer that he's trying to open with the gun, and it goes so far through that like he can't open the drawer. It's stuck in place. And so yeah. She knees him in the balls, and he's just sobbing on the ground now. Yeah, and she says, they'll believe a good knee shot to the jewels. And then she pulls out the knife and the gun. Not that she's the cat and he's the mouse. The man who has terrorized Boston for so long, and now DC is just a toy on her strings. Of course, Hadley's, like, scared of what's happening right now. I walked in and threatened a girl who has a sexual sadist sobbing on the ground. Yeah, I'd be scared too. And then, oh, this is very important. So she starts talking about horror movies. She's like, I've always hated the horror movies, you know. I'll tell you why. And she's just, like, walking around, basically playing with her food stuff. because they always portray the woman as pathetical screamers who can't save themselves. The bad guy is always walking, the girl is always running, yet somehow the big bad boogeyman catches up to them regardless. And so Clemens is getting up as her back is turned, and Hadley's like worried for her, trying to like warn her, but like it can't be overheard from the music, right? And so she's also like, I don't know who I root for, like all this stuff. And so he's like trying to quietly charge her, and whatnot, as she's like doing her monologue, being all like, I also hate how they paint them as idiots with a stroke of luck, she goes on. How the girl grabs the knife at the last second and the killer runs to the blade. So anticlimactic. He usually ends up disappearing when they finally run to call for help too. Then he makes one final attempt to kill them. He, at the last second, charges at her, and she grins and just turns around, with the knife out, so he runs into his own knife.
Oh,
You know, like she just fucking described.
This is so stupid. Just a thought.
Also, she does some, like, some ninja flipping and ends up, choking him out with her own legs, and says, I like choking men the same way you like choking women.
Oh my god.
And then she talks about how she doesn't prey on the innocent, and Hadley connects in her brain about the thinking that maybe the Scarlet Slayer is a revenge killer. He asks who Lana is, and she's talked about how she's basically takes down the darkest men. And all this stuff. She like crouches down next to him, and again, Hadley's trying to like make noise, but the music's too loud. And Clemens is like, you're like me, and she's like, no, I'm so much worse and better than you. I'm the thing the monsters in the dark fear, and now I'm even the boogeyman's nightmare. He tries throwing like a bunch of furniture at her, right, and she's dodging it.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
And then she says, you can't even get it up like a real man. You need to cut women up, watch them bleed, just to get a good boner. You're weak. I shouldn't even bother with you. The men I kill are strong, powerful men who can fuck a woman without forcing her. They only rape when they feel a woman needs to be put in her place. Basically provoking him. And emasculating him. This is when Hadley realizes the reason why she's doing this, like the way that she goes about it, demeaning and debasing her victims, is because she herself was debased as a victim, and she herself was a victim. And then, I guess at this point she hasn't actually stabbed him, she just did some ninja moves, she's about to stab him, ignore it. And then she says, you know what I take from them, and then lets her eyes drop to his lap, purposely, before looking back into his face. I take everything, she says. They have more to give. Basically saying that he is a tiny penis.
Which he probably does.
Yep. And then she turns her back again, and that's when he attacks her again, and that's when she does the accidental stabbing. She rolls her eyes as his eyes widen in shock. And then she says, now I've gotten lucky. Just like the horror movies. They'll never suspect a thing. Right? And then, Hadley, like, recognizes Lana Myers, or whoever she is, survived something really dark. So dark that she needs revenge. But Logan loves her, and she's a psychopath. And she, like, she still has...
but...
She still has her own personal guilt about not trusting her own memories about her stepfather, therefore, quote unquote, letting her stepfather kill all those other girls, right? And all those other girls, and so she still blames herself for that at this point. And so she, in the guilt, recognizes that in Lana's killing, she's killing these men who will hurt other people. So if she turns Lana in, does that mean those people get to hurt more people? And is it really a good thing then? And all this stuff. That's basically the mental gymnastics she's playing for a bit until they have a conversation after a bit. all this stuff. And so basically, she's like thinking about this, doing the mental gymnastics, freaking out, and Lana just sits down on the couch watching Clemens bleed out. Yeah.
That's so funny.
And then she whispers to Clemens as he's like bleeding out, "They took too much, left too little. I had nothing to lose." Until him, and then you wanted to kill him. He's too good to die. He's everything opposite of us. He's like still shines. I hope they have fun with you and help. You sentenced yourself there the day you targeted the only thing that makes me feel as though there's still a soul inside me left to be saved. The only thing I love more than revenge. And then that's when Hadley basically decides that she's at least gonna wait until she has a conversation with Lana before outing Lana as the serial killer. Uh, uh, yeah, because she recognizes that Lana at least thinks she feels love for Logan. She still thinks she's a psychopath, so can't feel love. But that intrigues her. And then not this chapter ending with, and I watch her, with her as a boogeyman dies by his own knife at the hands of a woman, the hands of a victim. In a way, it's poetic justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times. So, Lana's, like, curious after he dies, so goes through his pockets after putting on some gloves, and finds, that he had a cell phone jammer, and put it in her fireplace, and that's why she hasn't, like, gotten any calls or anything. And so she's like, good, that gives me an excuse on why I let him bleed out, for over 30 minutes, instead of calling the police. And then, God, this is so funny. She's just sitting there thinking, she's like, I hate my things being touched by people. Now he's gotten blood all over my floor too. It will take me forever to clean that up. I'd call him inconsiderate, but since I'm the one that sort of stabbed him, then I guess it's my own fault. I should have let him run into the knife on the tile floor instead of the carpet. Oh well, I can finally get that hardwood I've been considering. I usually don't update my homes, but with Logan living somewhat close by, I've had more reasons to stay than go. She's just sitting here waiting for the police to show up to be like, and it's like, God, it's so annoying how I'm gonna have to clean up all this blood, but I guess I can refurbish this house the way I wanted to now.
That's so fucking real. I love her for that.
I laughed very hard. And so now she's trying to figure out, how to act when the police do show up. Like, how does a normal victim act? And she's like, she's all like, do I rock in a corner? Do I cry? I hope not. I can't fake tears, and I don't like rocking. It makes me nauseated. Do I scream and pretend to be inconsolable or terrified? I don't like screaming. Hurts my throat. And acting terrified will be hard to pull off because I can't remember how to be afraid. And then she remembers how she initially felt after her rape, and it's like, and how he tried to rape her. So she's all like, I can act numb, broken, suicidal. But that was like multiple men's actions, not just one man's actions. So, like, I don't think this is enough to make me seem broken and suicidal. So do I act stunned or shocked? Do I show remorse? But then she's like, I'll start laughing if I try to fake remorse for that sadistic piece of shit. Yeah.
Why can't you just pretend to be just pretend you're dissociating, Musty? It's not that difficult.
Yeah, I know. And then she's like, I've already walked through hell, so I'm desensitized to all else. I decide to go shocked. It's the easiest to fake. So she practices her blank stare while she waits. And, like, making sure to heavily grip the knife to make it look like she's afraid and shocked, right? All the stuff. And so she's like, yep, got this down. And it's like, and I wait, and wait, and wait. Sheesh. And then that's finally when, the sirens start coming. And she's upset that they lit the sirens, because, when Logan was speeding there, he had his partner, call the police department to have them show up, because they're closer, right? So, like, they could get there first. And she's upset they have their sirens going full blast, because if Clemens was still alive and had her, when he heard the sirens coming, he would have just stabbed her and then run away. And they're fucking idiots. And so she's like, jackasses. And so a bunch of police come in and whatnot, clear the area, and the radios don't work to call in because of the cell phone the thing. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes.
The jammer.
I remember.
So not one of the police officers literally saying, mine isn't working either, neither is my phone, don't disturb the scene, this is a Fed case, clear the house until they get here, they're already chewing our asses for taking 30 minutes longer than we should have. How was I supposed to know the guy isn't just overly paranoid? They had us knee deep in an unmarked graves yard, all hands available, complaining that they had to leave another case to go protect an innocent civilian. And then another guy, comes over to her, and it's all like, miss? And goes to grab her wrist, and she automatically just jerks away. And so he pries the knife away from her hand, and says that you're safe. And she's like, you know what? I kind of believe him. He seems like a sympathetic guy. But then, that's when Hadley decides to make a shit ton of noise, and so they open up the closet doors, and there's Hadley all tied up. Yeah, now Lana is actually scared. She's actually feeling fear now, and she's like,
Yeah.
shit. She's like, I take it back. I remember now what it's like to be afraid because the fear is etching up my spine, rising steadily higher and higher. Basically, she's freaking out because, like, she was taunting Clemens, basically admitted everything to him, and then, Hadley, once they get Hadley out and whatnot, she explains that she came to check on Lana, and then he got to her, put her in the closet, and saw everything, and says that Lana fought back and got lucky, even threw some things at him. Yeah.
The fact that her in the closet.
I know, right? Says that she managed to get the knife before he did, and turned just in time, and he ran directly into it. As she's watching Lana, she's saying this. And she's like, is she trying to give the case to the FBI instead of the normal cops? Like, and then she says pure dumb luck, quoting Lana earlier. And then one of the police officers says, definitely lucky. And of course, Lana's like, bitch, what the fuck? I killed a guy. You can't be like, wow, you must be so lucky. And then Hadley's lips twitch, and she goes to call the FBI, but then they're like, well, there's something going with electronics, and she's like, oh, I saw a jammer in his pocket. So they pull out the remote and turn it off. And then Logan runs into the building. He's like, in there, fast. So good times. And he doesn't even notice Clement's body at first. He just grabs onto Lana, and over his shoulder, she sees Hadley watching them. And then tells some more lies. And then he then notices Clement's body. He's like, what the fuck? And Hadley's like, she got lucky. And he questions why Hadley's there, and she says that she came by to check on her after she heard they pulled the patrols. And then she leaves, and Lana's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Craig then walks into the building. You remember Craig? Craig continues to be a good guy in this one. He is freaking out because there's a dead guy in the middle of the building and like that. And Logan tells him to let the media know the case is closed. So, and then he picks her up and just walks her out.
Well.
she thinks when he's with me, I feel like I can just be cared for without being weak. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable because he never used it against me. God damn it. He knowing things from book 4. What the fuck? So a bunch of other cops and FBI agents have come to, like, see the boogeyman's body, right? As Logan's carrying her out, and that's when Duke shows up, jogging towards them, um, clearly, like, feeling guilty. And then, he's all like, wait a second, how did Logan beat me here? And, Craig says, who was in the car with Logan, says he drove so fast that my asshole was still clenched. I don't think he tapped the brakes until we got here. Um,
I
and then Duke's like, oh my god, what happened? He really attacked? Oh my god, I can't believe he'd actually do that thing that you said he was gonna do. And then Logan, and Hadley says, yeah, and then Lana got lucky saying the same exact thing. And then tells Craig to give her a ride, in case she has a concussion. Uh, Logan kisses Lana's forehead, not even asking any questions about what happened. Just, worrying about that, you're just happy that she's alive. All the details seem unimportant, how I'm the priority above all else.
girl, Xana got a billboard.
Oh my god.
What the fuck is happening? I remember I knew Xana before her fucking debut come out. You know how I feel right now?
There's more. Okay, so, like, Logan takes her into one of the SUVs with the other FBI agents, right? And Logan's being like, I'm taking a week off. Also, he has not let go of Lana once yet. He says the case is closed, Hadley was attacked, and then they're like, Hadley? And Logan says, yeah, he got a good hit in, didn't get all the details, but I don't know if I could even handle hearing them. Let Donnie deal with that. You two can come back to the crime scene after you drop us off. And they go to a hotel nearby, which Hadley happens to have gotten a hotel room in the same hotel as well, not wanting to go home. And because, like, too creeped out, right? So yeah, Logan's like, okay, let's go to the same hotel so that I can check on her later, all this stuff. Um, uh, Basically, Lana, I think, falls asleep in his arms, as he's talking to these people about it, and they're, like, talking about what Hadley said, and all this stuff, and he's, like, not into hearing about it, and, they inform him that she fought, and that, oh yeah, one of them says, right, he ran right into the knife. I thought that only ever happened in the movies. Of course, Lana is, like, fake asleep at this point, and she, like, has to hide her smile. Yeah. Good times. So.
I support women's rights, but I also support women's rights.
Uh-huh.
I feel like they need to be said.
My allergies are kicking my ass right now.
Take your fucking allergy medication. Do I have to wake up every day and tell you to take your allergy medication, even though it's like 2 feet away from you at all times?
Yes.
Take your allergy medicine.
Despite Logan wanting to take multiple days off, he can't. He'll be lucky if he can get a few days off, regardless of the fact that his girlfriend was almost killed. So when they get to the hotel, he's still carrying her, hasn't let go of her. She just calmly gave the receptionist at the hotel front desk all the information and cards and whatnot. Right? As she's being held by him, and the receptionist just did not question anything, and then he carries her into the room.
I imagine as a hotel receptionist, you've seen worse and more questions.
Lana just took the wallet from his pocket and handed her whatever she asked for, just quietly. Yeah. So he sets her down for the first time onto bed, and he thinks that the gravity of the situation hasn't sunk in yet because she's too calm. But he wants to be there for her when it does catch up to her. he's all like, I
Bro.
knew my job was toxic for relationships, but I naively never thought I'd put you in danger. Uh, he thinks that she's asleep, but she rolls over and says, if you were trying to break up with me after I just survived the boogeyman, I may just kick your ass. Uh,
Oh,
and he like recognizes dry humor, but sees the vulnerability in her eyes. And then he says, I probably should, to be honest, but I'm too selfish to let you go. And she kisses him and snuggles up against him and says, I feel the exact same way. I can't let you go, no matter how much I feel like how I feel you deserve. And he's all like internally freaking out, like, you think I deserve better than you? Than you? Um,
things you don't know, little Logan Bear. What the fuck?
she's asleep, his phone goes off, uh, and he doesn't want to leave, like, take his eyes off of her as she's sleeping, worried he'll wake up in the next morning and realize he had a psychotic break and, that Lana didn't survive and that it was all in his head and all this stuff.
Oh my god.
Anyways, Craig was the one who texted him, saying that Flemings had some bruises and she fought back hard. She's tougher than, you think. All the stuff. And then, Craig's all like, hey, I know you want time off, but I found something. And so, Lana doesn't even wake up when Craig calls him, and so he picks up the phone, right? And apparently the Delaney Grove, the small town where everything started, is covering up the fact that there was a serial killer 10 years ago, sexual sadist much like our dearly departed boogeyman. And that there's, not even one mention of it in the papers. And, when Logan questions why this is important to the Scarlet Slayer, stuff, right? Craig says, yeah, it looks like they didn't actually get the right guy. Fun times. And so Logan's like, what? And he says, the Godfather, he's like, his name's Johnson. You may remember him from my messages to you saying I want to kick him in his Johnson. Which is true, but I think Lana has more plans for him. So Johnson is his name. He basically has the same title as Logan, which is pretty high up there. And he's called the Godfather, but because he's basically the guy that made profiling a big thing in the FBI. But he is also known for doing such a bad job that he framed people. He's like known to have framed people, and like convictions have like been dropped because like decades later because of the shit that he did. But like because he has friends in high places, they just kept on giving him promotions and basically gave him a desk job to hide the fact from the public. So he's the one that worked the original serial killer case in Delaney Grove. He profiled that killer to be his mid-30s to early 40s and a blue-collar worker. And then, so Craig brought this up to Leonard, who is another profiler. Craig is technically not a profiler, if you remember. He's, like, the, public face talking to the public and media and whatnot guy. So he called to Leonard first to not bother Logan, and Logan said that it didn't make sense that profile the guy was well organized and displayed psychopathic tendencies when he killed the woman who brutally assaulted, all the mortals.
Wow.
All the mortals. They were assaulted all the mortals, including afterwards. This guy was seriously annihilating the body. And in short, he carved them up with a serrated knife, then drilled nails into their foreheads. It started off being mostly after they died, then it started happening before they died. He developed into a true heartless bastard. So then, Logan gives like a true, profile of this guy. And that makes no sense for the type of guy that the Godfather profiled him as, right? And so Craig's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Godfather locked up the wrong guy. Serial killers rarely have kids. Psychopaths rarely have kids. Hell, 90% of all all unsubs are childless because they can't form healthy relationships long enough to have children. The guy they locked away was a doting father of 2 kids, single parent too. His wife died 5 years earlier in a car accident. His kids were never late to school or neglected in any way. They argued how impossible it was that he was the killer, claiming he was home with them every night and helping make dinner as a family. And then Logan questions how they got pinned for it, and Craig says they found his jizz at the crime scene. Literally afterwards.
No, because I have thoughts, I just can't.
Yep. So Craig's theory is that this wasn't the guy despite the fact that there was DNA evidence, because how would he, like, do such a good job but then suddenly leave behind DNA evidence at this one crime scene? That's suspicious. That's weird. And then on top of that, they found 2 types of spermicide on each victim, which is what you get from condoms. So how did they find jizz on the crime scene if he's wearing like, right? The dots do not connect.
That's suspicious.
That's weird. So Logan's like, or no, Craig's like, sounds like questions that should have been brought up 10 years ago. Anyway, he had 2 kids, but they're no longer in Delaney Grove. There was an accident that happened shortly after their father was found dead in the county holding cell. And Logan questions what happened in the cell. And then he says, Robert Evans died the day he was convicted. The coroner's report had 3 words. He hung himself. Which, as someone who has a mother who has worked with death reports and stuff like this, not to this extent, but death reports and whatnot, I know that's not right. You're not allowed to just, like, say 3 words and that's it.
Right.
When you do, like, an autopsy, you can't just leave 3 words. Like, she's had it where coroners have, like, tried to leave things blank, and she has to call them up and be like, hey, no. And then they try to have her put in the information for them, and she's like, no, you literally have to put in the information yourself and sign off on it. That's illegal to do it otherwise. So, so basically, all the coroner's report said was he hung himself. Legit, that's it. And then the kids went missing 2 days later. And Craig had to go digging to find the report because they went to a hospital 5 towns over, which is a long drive when there's one right nearby. The answer they gave for what happened was there was a car accident, but the boy, 17, had severe signs of sexual trauma, and get this, he was castrated. Are you putting the pieces together? Can you tell who these kids are?
Yeah.
They're Lana and her brother Marcus. Okay, the serial killer that was framed was her father that started it all. Good times. So Logan hears about this.
Her plotline is clear and detailed, and
yeah, Logan is like, oh my god, that's our unsub. And Craig is like, yeah, you think so. Except, unless he's killing as a zombie, it's not possible. He died in the hospital, because after somehow managing to drive, and him and his sister there, despite his injuries, it's a miracle he didn't die from blood loss before getting to the hospital. If he had stopped at any of the other 5 hospitals closer nearby, he probably would have survived, but he made sure to get out of the county to save his sister. I
feel like this would go really good as a TV show.
I know, right? The sister was beat to hell and back, stabbed multiple times, face was caved in, a huge piece of glass sticking out of her. Literally the way that Lana has said similar things to as saying it was a car crash, explaining what happened to her, and he does not connect the dots. Like, sir.
Because these bitches are stupid. Like, I'm so sorry, but it's true.
She had severe signs of sexual trauma too, but she claimed it was a car accident just like he did. It's noted they were too scared to speak, and the girl died later that night from complications. That's all I could charm out of a helpful nurse without a warrant. So, Logan's like, okay, yeah, this is all fucked up. Why have I never heard of this? Get me those case files. And the reason why it never made headlines is because there was some terrorist threat, going on at the same time. And Craig brings up the fact that if Robert Evans wasn't the initial serial killer in the town, that means there's another serial killer who has had 10 more years to pile up a body count in the town. And also, it all set up the dominoes in motion for this revenge killing spree. And I quote, "We usually have to transport prisoners ourselves, but why the kids? How sick is that town?" Craig explains that at the time Lana was 16, of course not knowing that it's Lana he's talking about, and that Marcus had a scholarship to a drama program in New York. They were leaving town eventually. That they basically can clearly state that they something happened to them in that town, and that's why they drove so far away. And that Marcus would have survived if they gone any closer. So good times.
This is so much
Basically,
information.
after getting all this information, he recognizes, he understands, why someone would want to revenge for all this, because, and I quote, "If Lana had died at the hands of Clemens, I would have stalked the world until I found him and put him in the grave." Good times. Anyways, he hangs up on Craig, and Lana, I thought she was faking her sleep at this point, but no, she's actually asleep. She didn't hear any of this, right? She's asleep, and in her sleep, she tells him she loves him.
Oh my god, stop.
He kisses her cheek. And eventually falls asleep with her in his arms, right? So 3 days have passed, and it's Lana's POV, and she's all like, "I've heard that time heals all wounds, but that's not true. Falling in love, that's what makes you forget your anger. If it wasn't for my brother and father, my quest for vengeance would be over." Basically stating she would give up her revenge quest if they had only harmed her, just for Logan.
Oh my god. No,
I
stop.
love them. Oh, this is so funny. Okay, so there is paparazzi in front of her house because, oh my god, we want to catch a photo of the girl who killed the serial killer, right? You know how the world's obsessed with true crime and, invading people's personal space in that, aspect, to get the true crime fanatics, all that fun stuff. So she can't go to her own house, so Craig went to her house and retrieved her purse and some of her clothes.
No, because we need to get back to the series book so I can be funny again.
I know, right? Logan got bitched at for requesting Craig take her things to work so that he could give them to Elise, who was the one in the car crash with Lisa, who's like all fucked up, so that she can bring it to the hotel, right? So that like no one would connect the dots and follow to figure out where Lisa or for Lana is. But basically, Mr. Pretty Boy, and I quote, "Mr. Pretty Boy is still getting hell for carrying a purse into the building. They even checked it at the search point while he waited in the purse line, apparently seething, and she finds this hilarious. And also, there are paparazzi photos of him carrying her purse."
That's so funny.
Her bruised face was splashed all over the newspaper, and everyone wants an interview with the girl who killed a man that managed to elude all types of law enforcement. And she's all like, "Shit, god damn it, now my face is plastered everywhere. It's gonna make being a serial killer that much harder." Right? Oh, and then Logan gets a call because bodies have been found. They're of Lawrence and Tyler. You know the people she killed 2 months ago?
They just found their fucking bodies? My god.
By now they're steaming piles of rot. He's all making sure she's okay. And then he's all like, "I need to go see if Hadley's okay with working." And she's like, "I'll go handle it. I'll go ask her. You just get ready, okay?" So she knocks on Hadley's door. When the door opens, Hadley has a gun pointed at her head immediately, saying, "I've been expecting you." And then lets her into the hotel room, still having the gun pointed at her head, right? Yeah, and then she says, "I expected you a lot sooner." And she's all like, "Logan wants to know if you're up for a case. He's waiting for your answer." And Hadley's like, "That's not why you're here." And so Lana asks why she hasn't told Logan who she is. And Hadley has her sit on the bed closest to the door. while Hadley sits across from her on the other bed, still pointing a gun at her. And Lana's like, I'm not here to hurt you, which makes Hadley snort. And Hadley's like, I'll be the judge of that. You're psychotic. You think you love Logan, but you can't. Psychopaths can't love. They can only imitate. And she says, you think I'm a psychopath? I mean, I joke that I'm psycho, but I'm not the true definition of the word. A lot of repositions, which makes Hadley freak out with the guns and stuff, and so she's like, just get uncomfortable, you're calling me names without knowing anything about me, a good profiler digs into the past. And Hadley explains she's not a profiler, she's a forensics expert and a tech genius. And then she's telling Logan she just wants to know, that she wanted to warn Lana beforehand, since Lana killed her abusive stepfather and also killed Clemens as a courtesy. And so then Lana starts crying, which weirds Hadley up because that shouldn't be possible if you're a psychopath, right? And she's like, okay, just give me a 5-minute head start. And Hadley explains that the gun is the only thing keeping Lana from killing her. And so Lana just does a quick movement, takes a gun, and just takes it apart. And tosses them on bed. And says, no, I'm not killing you because you don't deserve to die. Guns don't scare me. And Hadley says, but losing Logan does. And Lana explains there are only 2 people in my life that I love. One is like a brother, the other is the first person I've ever been in love with. So yes, losing Logan terrifies me. There's basically this whole argument where Hadley's all like, hey, revenge killers are psychotic. You'll eventually lose sight of your morals, and start killing other people. And Lana makes a joke that she's profiling her while claiming that she's not a profiler. But she should stick to her day job because she knows nothing about her. And goes to leave. And Hadley says it was all a test.
Oh.
Yep. And then Hadley asks if she can put her gun back together. And Lana's like, just use the one under your pillow. and she's like, wait a second, how do you know about that? And Lana explains, basically profiled her, makes sense that she would have guns stashed, and that she herself still had 2 guns to feel safe when she's at her most vulnerable. Hadley grabs the other gun, but doesn't directly point it at her. They're sitting together again. Yay! And so basically there's this whole thing where Lana tries to explain that what was done to her is what turned her into this monster. Hadley says there's no evidence of anything happening in that town. And she just says, dig deeper. And Hadley's like, just tell me. So, good times. And so she tells her basically the whole story. But she can't tell the police. Or the team, because she wants the town to confess the sins they are covering up. And the whole point of this is that Hadley wants her to prove that she won't hurt someone innocent. Basically, she starts at the beginning, telling her about her father, about everything, and Hadley quickly starts throwing up with all the details. She continues through the vomit. Good time. More to Bibba, telling her about Lindy May and Diana, the 2 people who tried to stop it, and what happened to them because of it. And after telling her every little detail, she finally feels free, knowing another person knows the truth. But Hadley looks like she'll never recover from this information.
How do you think Lana feels?
And she's like, at least I spared her one detail, the name of the man who will die, the most painful, the man who started the dominoes back then, which I think is the one who committed those crimes, like the original serial killer in the town. I still don't know, and I've read the 4th book. She questions how she survived, and Lana says no one knows. But my mother always believed in avenging angels. Marcus's last words to me were that we'd come back as avenging angels and we'd make them pay. We'd do it together. But he didn't come back.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And that's why she does all this. Hence the name Scarlet Angel. So Hailey promises she won't tell the team unless someone innocent gets caught in the crosshairs. She owes her silence. And that she stopped Clemens, she stopped her stepfather, all this stuff. And until she has a psychotic break, she'll hold her tongue. Basically, Lana explains how she won't have a psychotic break, blah, blah, blah. And then, Lana goes to leave, but feels bad that Hadley feels guilty for not believing her own memories about her stepfather, and so decides to turn around and say, you tried to tell people when you were a child, those people failed you, they failed those kids, and they warped your young impressionable mind into believing you made it all up. Everything that has happened since then is not your fault, it's on them. They may not deserve to die for their failures the way he deserved worse than death, but they do deserve to bear that guilt. Call your mother, give her the burden to bear. Call that therapist, give her all the nasty details of his sins. Call the police station that ignored the cries of a child in pain. Only they deserve the weight of that failure, not you.
I agree.
Friendship. Anyways, Hadley's all like, okay, thanks. And says that she'll help Logan in 5, and then Lana messages Jake and says, hey, we got some catching up to do because, the only person they killed in the last book was someone not on the list. So,
yeah.
Anyways, cut to Logan and the detectives being in the basement, in the cellar, where, the two guys that Lana killed at the end of the first one that have been there for at least a month. I want to state this. There was, a month time frame afterwards where it was described as weeks of Logan going back and forth to her place, as they were trying to protect her from the boogeyman. So it's been at least a month that they've been in there.
Yummy.
Just stewing. Yeah, good times. So Logan says that, the Scarlet Slayer is chasing his endgame, but it's obvious these two really pissed him off yet. Yet there are still no signs of rage. Hadley is at the coroner's office, helping out there, and calls them up with information saying their mouths are sewed shut. But when they opened them, they found their penises in their mouths.
Oh my god.
But that's not it. She took blood samples. One of them was O positive, the other one was AB positive. But the blood in each mouth was the opposite, which means she stuffed each of their mouths with the other one's penis.
Oh my god. Stop. No words, honestly.
I know, right? One of the detectives, Leonard, who's important in the fourth one, so I'm just gonna make sure to bring him up.
I know what happened to the lady who wrote this, but was she okay? Oh my god.
I know, right? I feel like I need to, get a Ouija board out and summon her ghost to be like, fam, you need a hug?
I'm so sorry, see, for real.
Yeah, so Leonard, thinks that the killer is suffering a psychotic break if, he's getting more stuck on the torture aspect, but Logan thinks otherwise, and says that these two did something together that pissed the unsub off recently. We should find any footage of the unsub. We couldn't find any footage of the unsub, but Tyler's credit card showed a trip to New York recently. Maybe they meant to discuss the deaths of the others, even though it hadn't made the news. If the unsub followed them, maybe heard their conversation, it could have led to this double kill, an extra layer of torture. The thing that happened in the first book.
Yeah.
So, after Hadley hangs up, Donnie, one of the other detectives, says that Hadley's acting weird, and, Logan snaps, her stepfather abused her as a child. She was convinced it was all in her head, and other kids died after she ran away, coupled with the fact that she was almost a victim of Clemens, and she has every right to be weird. Which, yeah. Craig asks how Lana's holding up. So they're planning a visit to Delaney Grove. So Craig mentions there was nothing that ever mentioned that stuff with police reports and whatnot, and that the town is trying to act like the Evans family never existed. And that the coroner who wrote the bullshit report on Robert Evans' death is either dead himself or playing dead because no phone calls have been returned. Logan says, okay, we gotta visit that town in person, delivered the profile to the media, and mentioned there was something traumatic that might have happened to the Evans kids that didn't sit well with a close friend or family member. Donnie says that there's no family left, it was just the three of them, and the only friends were the lawyer dad and his son, right, so Jacob and his father, and, so Logan plans to visit them, and also that Lindy May was a friend. There are others, I just haven't found them. Good times. And then Hadley calls him back up and says, the coroner found a nail in Lawrence's stomach. Cough, cough. Hadley questions him on how, he met Lana and whatnot, making sure that it was actually a coincidence and that, like, it wasn't a planned thing from Lana. And when he questions why she's making a big deal out of this, she says, you know, I'm suspicious of every girl you date and their motives. Like, Lisa used your name to get promotion. I still don't like her. And Logan almost laughs about that. Reminder that Lisa, he broke up with Lisa. They were sleeping together for like a few months. And then, he broke it off with her after she joined his department because she was his subordinate. Like, he is the head of that area. So, like, he can't be sleeping with a subordinate, right? And so that's why they broke up. But then to learn that Lisa purposely slept with him to use his name to get into that position, and then it didn't expect him to break up, like, girl, listen, Lisa does a lot of shit. Not Xana liking another thing you posted about her.
I've gotten so many Xana notices, it's insane. I love her. At least 7 to 10.
So, as he's hanging up on Hadley, he's in the car with Donnie, and he's all like, let me know if anything weird, like a nail in the stomach happens. And Donnie's, like, questioning the, nail in the stomach thing, and he says, if it sounds familiar, just can't remember it. And so he asks if he thinks this is a sign of the killer having killed in a similar way before in another state or something. And he says no, nails in the stomach is actually a brutal torture technique. It tears you up as you swallow them, then punctures your stomach lining. Not to mention what happens if you manage to pass them, but just one nail and meet something. Lawrence was the son of a cop in Delaney Grove, but he left the place right around our 10-year time frame. Several of them did. They went on to be successful. They never showed any signs of violence in their lives, and all have had a healthy conscience, it seems. Never the self-destructive spiral of guilt-wrenched minds. I forgot this was in this book. Because that comes back in the fourth one when you get all the information. The nails come back. So just remember the nails in the stomach. And how Lawrence was the one with the nail in the stomach and his father was a cop. Because that's important. That's important. And then, oh good, the great line, eventually good conquers evil because evil works alone. Which is funny, because then it cuts to Lana being the quote-unquote evil, just hanging out with Jacob.
I have returned.
Okay. So, she's at Jake's house. Because the police are, like, looking into her house because it's a crime scene, right? They moved her murder room to Jake's place, which makes sense. And she's changed up her MO. She's now burying the bodies so that Logan, she has more time with Logan in between before he finds them. And, also added the nails, which is something she didn't plan to do, but she's into it, right? And then also they have killed 2 more people on the list since Clemens. Since the beginning of this book. Alrighty. Wild. Also, officially, the media did go with her serial killer name being Scarlet Slayer, which is very funny. And then, oh yeah, she's laughing because it's ironic the media lost interest in the hero side of me in favor of the dark side of me. Just goes to show how twisted and ugly the world can be. So, Jake questions her on, what will happen with her and Logan, if they even survive the end game and all this. And that, like, he's fine with ending where they are. Like, if she wants to stop to be with him, he's okay with that. And she's all like, I can't, not for me, but for them and all the stuff. For her brother and father. And she's like, you really want to stop? And he says no, he wants to kill them all, and wants them to suffer, but it's not, fair to expect that from her, since she seems to be finally healing. Thanks to Logan and all this stuff, and this could ruin that. He says maybe you're allowed to give up vengeance for hope. And she asks, then why do I see the nightmares when I consider stopping? Every time she considers stopping the killing, she has nightmares about what happened. And so that's why she thinks that she needs to do this. Good times. Oh, there's a cute moment where they're being, like, brotherly and sisterly, like, siblingly. And she tells him, you know, you're my second favorite brother, right? Which is a joke they've had since they were kids, and he laughs, saying, yeah, I know, just like you're my favorite sister, but only because you're the only one I have. And then there's a flashback, but this time, it's a flashback of her killing one of the guys, specifically his name's Anthony. The act of killing, so, like, the screams is what helps her sleep at night, replacing her, what they said to her at that night with their screams now, but they're not hitting her the same way. It's not feeling the same anymore. Anthony says that he knew she was evil just like your father, and she explains no, she was naive, and then everything happened. Yeah. This guy believes that they are religiously righteous for everything they did, to destroy the evil in the world, in an act of justice. And she says you claim righteousness even after your acts of violence and sin. And he says you can't sin against the devil. You're straight from his loins, just like your father. They'll stop you. Good always triumphs over evil. I'll be avenged. And so she's laughing now and says this is good triumphing over evil. And he's like, wait, what? And she says this is your punishment. The act of good prevails. And he says they were always going to hell. They just sped it up. And she says, if you're the one in the right, why isn't there some divine intervention saving you? I was resurrected from the ashes, surviving against all odds, yet you're down here suffering for the crimes of your past, not me. And he's all like, oh. And then she quotes William Shakespeare at him and says, but I'm not the devil, Anthony, I'm the angel who has come back to take you all to hell. And then she goes to Kentucky to kill the next one, and says that she'll tell him hello for him, and that his bestie is next. Right? Not before giving him a question of faith, though. She makes sure he has a question of faith about everything that happened that night, which is so funny. Anyways, guess who's at Jake's door to question him about everything? It's Logan.
Mm-hmm.
So, Logan and Donnie. She's, like, almost having a panic attack, which is rare for her. Like, this has not happened in a while. So Jake calms her down. Says to just stay in the office and lock the door. They won't have a warrant, and so, they can't, like, check apartment and or house or whatever. I think it's a house because it has a garage, so house. Connected garage, and that they had planned for this. Good times. They're also always careful about when she goes over to Jacob's house to make sure that like no one notices her. Basically, what they do is that he has, because remember his persona is he's in a wheelchair, right? So he has what she calls his stalker van, which is a white van with blacked out windows, basically. But like it's a van so that it has like one of those wheelchair lifts things. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
To get his wheelchair in and out, right? So then she hides it, like when she's going to his house, he picks her up off the street, and and then he parks the van inside his house or inside the garage, and then she can go from the garage to the house. It just there's no like outside pathways, all inside, so no one knows that she's ever there, and she always like wears a wig and everything, so like nobody notices things, right? So the neighbor, so they're like banging on the door. Jake's not coming to the door. And Donnie questions this, and Logan says, that the neighbor said, that he never really rarely leaves, and he never has visitors. He left this morning, but came back and has been inside ever since. So he goes to knock again when Jacob enters the door, and he's in a wheelchair. And explains, sometimes it takes me a minute to transfer to my chair. How can I help you? So this is a part where Donnie specifically feels really shitty, because this man's in a wheelchair, and they're, like, actually, like, investigating every little detail about this. So he lets them into his house, and they're, like, noticing that, there's, like, instead of stairs to the front door, right, to the porch of the front door, there's a, ramp, there's a chair, there's, like, a lifting from a chair, next to it for, like, getting out of the chair into a wheelchair, all this stuff, right, and Logan's like, fuck, he's trying to, like, he's, like, kneeling down on the ground to tie his shoes to see if, there's anything on the tread of Jacob's shoes. There's not, they're clean, and then he's, like, eyeing his legs very specifically, and, all this stuff, and he notices that he's, like, not doing any weird twitching that someone who's faking being in a wheelchair does, or anything like that. He seems to be just, like, a guy in a wheelchair. I'm pretty sure this is when he has Donnie, go and check to see, what the hell, how were we not warned of this beforehand, right? And so they ask him, a bunch of questions about the accident that caused him to be in a wheelchair, when it happened, all this stuff. And so, he asks, hey, you just came to ask about that accident a long time ago, and Logan says, I was wondering if you could shed some light on the Evans family, and immediately Jacob gets cold and is all like, you're welcome to leave at any time. And so, Donnie asks if he could give them any information, and, Jacob says, now you want to know, because back then, when I went to the FBI dude who had wrongly profiled Robert Evans as a serial killer and told him my friends, the two sweetest fucking humans ever, had been killed by the town, he told me it wasn't his case, so let the cops do their jobs, and if it was more than a car accident, they'd handle it. And so, Donnie asks who that FBI agent was, and he says his last name was Bag and his first name was Douche. Sometimes he went by SSA Johnson, which is, the guy. So Donnie asks to make sure, saying that he ignored 2 dead kids, and Jacob explains that he didn't give a shit, and that, he's now trying to stay out of the past, and asks them to leave. So, Donnie calls up the people to figure out, how they missed this, and, like, apparently it's, like, this tiny little line at the bottom of, like, his record that, like, unless you're looking for it, you don't notice it, type thing. Then, Logan overhears something falling in the locked office, and, all this stuff, and they're like, hey, can we look around? And Jacob's like, fine, I guess. But then you leave me alone. I don't need you barging into my life and dredging up memories better left forgotten. He goes, gets keys, but he's taking, like, his long time. to do it, to unlock the office door. They get in, find a bunch of stuff, like, tacks scattered around the floor, and he groans, saying, "Not again, I have to clean this up." And, it looks like a window was open, and the wind blew the curtain that knocked over up all the tacks, all this stuff. And so they leave, but Logan's all like, "Hey, someone was in there." Because that window was closed, along with the blinds, when we came up. There was a closet in there, someone was in there, and whoever was in the closet was probably our unsub, so we need backup. So they load her on the street while I call Lisa, and tell her and Elise to swing by and sit, at the house, and then they'll leave, and if Jacob leaves, to call them, and they'll, like, track him down, and while they're, like, watching him wherever he goes, they can go inside and check out the house, right? And then she's all like, "Hey, thank you for the roses," and he's like, "I never fucking sent roses, what are you talking about?" And she assumes it was Clemens who sent them, and he's like, "Ask Hadley to look into it." Donnie, says, just wondering what Lisa would do, to Lana if she got her hands on her. She's a typical scorned ex, perfectly okay with the breakup until you finally get a new girlfriend that you seem to be pretty head over heels for. Lisa's a bitch. Keep her away from your new girlfriend, or she may scratch Lana's eyes out. Things happen in the fourth book, trust me. Lana's already been subjected to her, in case you forgot. Lisa didn't rattle her. And then he says, "We all know what a bitch Lisa can be, and right now she's feeling that jealousy most exes do when their ex finally moves on and accepts a sign of true happiness. She's got nasty mouth on her, and she may eventually seek Lana out in an effort to ruin things between you. To just profiling is what I do." So, they, follow Jake when he eventually leaves, and then they... they notice that, like, it's a typical kidnapper's van, all this stuff, right? And, good times. He pulls up in a parking spot, they pull up on the curb, and he's lowered, down with a wheelchair on a motorized platform, the thing I talked about, which explains the van. And then, he takes a basketball and goes to a basketball court, nearby, full of kids. This is where Donnie's like, "Aw, shit, fuck, we fucked up." Because most of the kids have some kind of disability. There's amputees, some in wheelchairs, and all the stuff. And Donnie's like, "We're going to hell." And basically, Jacob, Lana pays for this with, like, her nonprofit, stuff, with rich and heiress money, right, that she has, so that, Jacob has this nonprofit thing, where he teaches, like, plays sports and teaches, disabled kids, like, exercise and all this fun stuff, important things for a normal kid to have, and, yeah. Basically, they stalked a disabled guy to going and helping other disabled children, live their lives and be happy, and, like, for this nonprofit stuff. And Donnie's like, "Aw, fuck, man."
This is
So Donnie is, like, kind of suspicious that, or, like, no, Donnie's suspicious. He's like, "We fucked up. This kid, experienced his mother dying at a young age. His best friends then being, something happening to them that caused a lot of shit to go down, and all this serial killer stuff, right? And then he was paralyzed, and now he's basically, like, someone to look up to for a bunch of disabled kids. And we're accusing him of murder? We're going to hell!" Logan has him check, Jacob's van. There's nothing in there except for, like, one small box that seems to be empty. And all the stuff. And then, also, Lisa and Elise found nothing in the house, too. he gets back to the office, and so he has Leonard pull everything on the Robert Evans case, and so they can, like, work from the end forward to see what happened to got to this unsub doing this, like, figure out anyone else close to them, all the stuff. Since it's the first domino that set all of the others in place. And he says that he's already been working on that, but there's so many inconsistencies on the file that it's ridiculous. And the only thing that convicted him was the DNA at the crime scenes, and that even seems compromised due to poor chain of custody the evidence went through. Are we picking up what we're putting down? I'm not sure how he got convicted, other than the fact that the judge pretty much ignored all the laws set in place to keep things fair and honest. And then, so basically they're like, okay, so, Johnson framed him, and the judge, there was a corrupt judge who let this go down, right? Against all laws and whatnot. And also he's all like, let's try to figure out also why those killings stopped after he died. If the unsub successfully framed evidence, he may have just moved towns and changed his MO enough to frame someone else.
This is, like, there's so much going on.
I know, right? So
I can barely sleep.
I know, there's so much going on, and wait till the next one. So he's shouting up at Hadley, and he tells her Lisa was going to have her look into someone sending her roses. And she says they weren't from him, and he's like, I know. And she's like, there was nothing anywhere to say it was from him, just a dozen roses sent with no card. She just assumed it was from Logan. Lana has, her excuse for being gone has been business, but she's back. And he's all like, finally I get some alone time with her. And then he's like, as for this case, Delaney Grove people are going to be the end of me. And now I'm worried for book 5. What the fuck does that mean? Sir, dude, let me tell you, the Delaney Grove people do things.
I have no words.
Basically, Lala's POV, where she describes hiding in a closet after accidentally dropping the tax, right? And then crawled into the tiny box in the back of Jake's van and hid in there for hours while he was doing the basketball stuff. Because the box isn't open from the inside, so she had to wait for him to let her out. Which, of course, he laughed about. So she's back at the hotel, and Hadley's glaring daggers at her, waiting by her hotel room door. And she's all like, what did I do? And Hadley brings up the roses, and she's smirking, as Hadley, forces her way into the hotel room, all the stuff. And so she's all like, you can't play games with her, she thinks it's from a serial killer, and she's like, dude, it's her own fault for thinking it's from a serial killer. 2, the joke isn't even that funny anymore, because she waited to say or think anything about it until after Clemens was already dead, so it's not even funny anymore. And 3, how ungrateful does she have to be to thank Logan for them weeks after she got them? Right? And Natalie's like, you can't, like, just be doing shit out here. That's crazy. And she's like, excuse me, she started it, and also, what, are you, like, friends with her or anything? And Natalie's like, no, definitely not. And she's like, cool, I'm not gonna, like, kill her, but I'm definitely gonna play pranks on her. Trust me, she does some things.
I can't even comprehend what's going on anymore. I cannot lie to you.
And she's all like, Lisa has no reason to be afraid unless she's scared of serial killer ghosts, and then grabs a flashlight and shines it underneath her chin. She's just having fun at this point. So, she's all like, listen, you said I couldn't send roses to a girl who was another bitch to me. You just said I couldn't kill people who didn't deserve it. All this stuff, they're fighting about it. Good times, and then they're talking. And so Hadley's like, hey, Logan's morals aren't as good as mine. He'll eventually figure this out. You gotta end this quest for revenge. Let us take care of it. And she's all like, take down an entire police force. Take down rapists whose word will be against mine. The daughter of a convicted serial killer who's wrongly profiled by one of your own. And then Hadley admits that Logan knows the profile about Lana's father was wrong, which surprises Lana. And so then that surprises Hadley because she's like, wait a second, you don't actually ask him questions about the case, do you? And she said, no. If I want to know, I'd have Jake hack the cameras, and I don't want to betray my boyfriend like that. And so eventually Hadley gets her to agree that she won't play any more jokes or pranks on Lisa unless if she does something to Lana again. So basically Hadley says she's so confusing and I stupidly think you really do love him, and that's when Lana says I do love him, and that's when Logan enters the room saying nice to know. And Hadley, freaked out, not expecting him to be there, literally falls on the ground. Which is so funny. All this stuff. So she's like freaking out because like, what did he overhear? All this stuff. And so Lana recognizes that if he overheard anything, she'd be arrested. So she's all like just kissing him. As Hadley's like making weird noises. And she kisses Logan harder to distract him from the leaky sink she is. No wonder the boogeyman duct taped her mouth shut.
See, I just learned that Luke Hemmings is putting out another solo album. I'm normal.
Okay. Banging, they bang. And he's all like, you should have told me first. This is like, it's not, it's like, the way the banging is, it feels like punishment fuck, but like in a jokingly way. Trust me, I know because I've read the 4th book. Cough, cough! And she's like, if these are the repercussions of disappointing him, I'll never be good again. Like, Lana, please. Lana, please. She explains that Hadley figured out her feelings on her own, and that's why they were talking about it. He doesn't say it back, which makes her feeling self-conscious and freaking out. So he's all like, get something nice on, I'm taking you out on a real date. And then they take a shower together. And she says, we can go out tomorrow. As they bang in the shower. And mid-pump, he says, I love you too, Lana Myers.
Stop.
And in that moment, I'm completely his. There's no revenge, there's no deaths staining my hands. I'm just a girl in love with a man who's destined to hate me when he learns the truth. And it's devastatingly tragic, more so than any Shakespearean play ever was. Okay, on to chapter 10. So, there's some weird calls happening. Oh, that's his title. I was like, who's this Colin Scott? I've been trying to figure out what his title is this whole time. It's assistant director. He's 80. Assistant director. Unless if his name is Ad. His first name is Ad. I'm pretty sure he's assistant director. So, Logan gets called in. He goes, and Johnson is not only on their department floor. He writes a note for Lana, by the way, saying that he's going. But he's also sitting in Logan's chair in his office, like at his desk. And he's all like, "What the hell are you doing in here? No one's allowed in here unless I grant them access, for like security reasons." And Johnson tells him to lower his tone to his superiors. And he's all like, get out of my office, and you're not my superior. In case you haven't noticed, I have the same title, and as for your position in the Bureau, it holds no authority over mine. Basically, Johnson gloats to him that he is now in charge of the case. And Logan's like, oh, you mean the director caved and let you do whatever you want because you two are golf buddies by day and swing buddies by night? Basically hinting that they're swingers. Yeah, really, that just came out of left field and dropped and then never brought up again. Elizabeth's brought up in the 5th book some way. Like, what the fuck?
What is happening? What is going on? Like,
so, the deputy, I guess he's technically deputy director, comes in. Collins, that's his name. Collins comes in. So, Johnson leaves his office, and he's all like, what is Johnson doing here? And Collins explains, Johnson got a call from someone, and he called me, wanted to know why you were working on one of his old solved cases, aka the Evans case. I told him that it overlapped with one of your present cases. Next thing I know, the director himself is waking me up with a call saying Johnson will be running point on the Scarlet Slayer case. Everyone is really not a big fan of Johnson. Hadley's glaring at him, all this stuff. So, Logan's all like, hey, there's something deeper going on here. Because first the coroner's report was pointless on the dead, supposed serial killer that Johnson profiled. And it's full of holes and inconsistencies, just like the case against Evans. And then there's a revenge killer who is out there doling out death sentences for men who used to live in the town, where the oldest victim would have been 19, as far as we know, and the youngest would have been 15. And then Johnson shows up, bullying his way into impeding this investigation. What's really going on? Did he have something to do with an innocent man being killed? Did he intentionally fuck up the profile to make it fit Robert Evans? I can't find much on that case here. We've been scrapping together what we can. Collins remembers the case, like he was there when it happened. I think he wasn't there when it happened. He joined like a few months afterwards, right? But he remembers it. There was terrorist threats going on, so that's why there was like no publicity on it. And he went to the town with several of the unit members. Said they were
this is so much information. I don't know what's going on.
So multiple of the unit members who went to the town and everything, like half of them quit, retired, or transferred, and which is why there were so many openings in the department after that case. And so Johnson was left behind to finish the case on his own. The trial happened so fast. Next thing he knows, what little bit of the unit has remained just up and quit. Johnson was on the market to be replaced after that, even though I don't know why. They hired a bunch in, but you were in the one they eyed the longest. You came 3 years after that mess. They finally had the right replacement, and they got rid of him as soon as you were ready. Basically saying that Logan was his replacement. And he's all like, okay, but why all this shit for covering his own ass? Why is the director letting him do that, all this stuff? But he's not covering only his ass, he's covering the director's. Because the director has been on the verge of being replaced himself for 6 months. They're going to Collins, trying to get Collins to take his place and all this stuff. So basically, if this gets out that he let this happen, he's out there faster than he can blink, right? There's also like this whole thing while they're having this conversation, Johnson is like just erasing things from their whiteboard of like the case and whatnot, just important information. He's just erasing it, and fucking it up. So they think Johnson will profile this guy as a sadist regardless of all the new information. He'll change the game, rewrite the evidence to fit his profile, then he'll sing out someone who doesn't fit their true profile at all. Half his cases were overturned because of that. So, Logan brings up the idea that maybe he was the one to falsify DNA evidence, and Colin says if you can find evidence, he'll be locked away. And so Logan's okay, so, like, okay, I'll be running the team, but also work a case on the side of this corruption. But I'll still be their boss. Any backlash that comes from this goes towards me, right? I don't want their careers jeopardized. And so Colin says he'll assemble a committee meeting to see if he can overturn Johnson, the ruling of Johnson being in charge, right? And so then Logan's like, he's going to demand we go to Delaney Grove in the next day or so. He'll want to get ahead of the end game regardless of the fact the kills seem to be surrounding us right now instead of the town in question. It might work out in our favor though, because we might finally get some answers about what happened there. Cough, cough. And then they exit the room, and Johnson says, we'll be going to Delaney Grove in 2 days. Pack a bag. I'll call the sheriff, and he's invited us in to help him with this. Which is funny. And then Craig says something similar. Like he wanted to act like nothing was going wrong when we spoke to the sheriff and all this stuff. And Johnson tells Craig to just worry about smiling for the cameras and leave the real work to us. And then, as Logan predicted, Johnson says they have a sadist, targeting alpha males. Everyone's like, God, this guy's so fucking wrong. So everyone's just ignoring him, because, they've all heard of his reputation that he's not a team player who listens or even just, he's a domineering prick who thinks his word is gospel. He also says Kyle Davenport has been put into protective custody, and they're like, wait, who's that? Hadley sits down quietly in a chair, heavily, and all this stuff, cough, cough, she knows who Kyle is. Because Lana told her. But basically, Johnson explains he's the sheriff's son, and that they narrowed down the victimology, to him and a few others, but he's more alpha than the others, so we believe he's the next target. Yeah, Donnie's all like, excuse me, he narrowed down the victimology to one fucking possible victim with a little, as we've had to go on. And that's when Logan brings up the idea that maybe Johnson knows the real truth of what happened, 10 years ago. And that he's covering his ass of this being a revenge killer because of what he did. So, you know,
Man.
There's more, don't worry. We're only 2/3 of the way through. Logan explains he's building his own subcommittee case about this and all this stuff, and that everyone should just follow his own orders, not Johnson's. And if it goes south, it'll fall back on him, not anybody else. Don't worry about it. And they're like, dude, we don't care if we get fired. Don't take him on alone. He has too many high-ranking friends. And all this stuff. He goes back to his office when Hadley walks in and says, you should bring Lana to Delaney Grove with us. Oh, I remember messaging you about this because this part made me laugh so hard. So he's like, why the hell would I do that? And she says, that one, they'll be gone for a while, and two, Lana is still struggling to be alone at night. She told me, and he's all like, wait a second, Lana never told me that. And Hadley's all like, she's tough. She doesn't want you to know she's struggling because you've been proud of how tough she is, lying to him, right? So he's all like, of course she's struggling. Oh my gosh. And he's all like, but she should stay with a friend. It's too dangerous to take her to Delaney Grove, not to mention against the rules. And she's all like, yeah, but like, also, we know it's a revenge killer, and revenge killer won't go after her. She's not his target, right? She'll be safe, and for the rules, the Bureau doesn't have any say over where civilians go or don't go. It's a free country after all, right? So that whole conversation happens where she's all like, take her with us. It'll be fine. It's a revenge killer. He won't target her. She's not one of his targets. And then Craig comes in and says, hey, what's going on? And Lana explains that she's trying to tell, or not Lana, Hadley's trying to explain that she's, telling him to bring Lana along. She, doesn't feel safe being by herself, and he's all like, yeah, that is completely understandable, she should come, and then Logan's all like, I can't bring her with, there's a serial killer there, what if he targets her? And then Craig is all like, well, he's a revenge killer, so she won't be his target, it's fine. And then Logan's like, neither one of you are profiles, shut the fuck up. And then Dolly walks in, and he's like talking about Johnson stuff, and talking about how Johnson's talking on the phone with the sheriff and slamming his door closed, making sure no one can overhear the conversation. And Logan explains that both Hadley and Craig think that he should bring Lana along. And then Donnie's like, yeah, that's understandable. It's not like the killer will go after her because she's a revenge killer and she's not his target, so she'll be fine. It's so funny. It's just this like 5-page sequence where they're just saying the same thing over and over, and he's just like, God damn it. And then they're like, also piss off Johnson. So like, added bonus. Yay! So Hadley comes to Lana's hotel room crying, and Lana assumes it's like the heaviness of everything she told her about her past, but actually it's about the fact that there's 69 pictures and 70 nails about her stepfather's case, right? And so basically Hadley finally had her courage to look at her stepfather's case, and asked what she did with the other picture. And Lana explains she burned it because, and I quote, "The mind is a fragile thing. Your friends would have seen it. You have seen it too. It would have been the thing that broke you. Hearing it existed isn't as critical as seeing yourself as that child who was exposed and vulnerable, then knowing proof existed all along. Hearing it is processed differently than seeing it. The mind is more delicate to sight than it is to sound. I don't want you broken. I didn't want him winning from the grave, so I burned it." And then, so this is, when Hadley finally, commits to being on Lana's side, being like, you protected me from my own mind, and
oh
also,
God.
my coworkers have to see that. Okay, you're not a or psychopath. You showed genuine compassion, so there's no way you're a psychopath. And then, Hadley explains that, Johnson has showed up, right? And yeah, definitely from the way that Lana reacts to that, she has history with him. And says that he did more than cover up, but won't tell Hadley more because she needs to learn about it with the rest of her team. And says that several people know the story, find one to tell it, not to mention, I need that town to feel haunted. The longer it takes for the story to be told, the more questions you and your team will ask. And the more people will start to tremble in fear. And she's like, you want the fear. And Lana explains she can't kill them all, but terrorizing them will remind them to never hold their silence again when the innocent are screaming for help. Cough, cough! Fourth book, she terrorizes them. So, they have rented out hunting cabins. The FBI has rented out hunting cabins that technically the sheriff owns. They're right against the woods. And all this stuff. Good times.
How is it so short, but there's so much information?
I know, right? So the sheriff literally owns everything in the town. Like, literally everything. I feel like I should bring that up.
Makes sense. It's a small town.
Hadley asked if the sheriff was the one who killed the woman, that Lana's father was framed for. But then Logan, already just comes into the hotel room, and he's all like, wait a second, you already told her that we're going? And she's all like, yes. Then, Hadley leaves, they hug. And, so he's like holding her tightly, and she's like, what is going on? And he's all like, you should have told me you didn't like being alone right now. You still going to be alone there too, though. I don't really know what to do. And she's like, God damn it, Hadley, right? So she, decides that she only has enough time, because there's 2 days until they're leaving, right, to kill one more guy on the list, and then save the other one for after she kills Kyle and does everything in the town. And so she decides to kill, I think it's Morgan first, and Jason will die when the time comes, just not in the order planned. And she makes an excuse that she has, like, business stuff she should figure out before they leave. And he tells her she should have told him she was struggling, and that he should have noticed he's a profiler, and that's his job to see things like that. And she's like, I'm gonna kill Hadley. No, not literally. Well, maybe a little. She goes to, she tells Logan, she's fine. And she admits to herself she'll die before she lets anything happen to Logan. And won't leave him alone in that town unguarded against dangers he doesn't know exist. He hasn't yet seen the depravity and won't believe it, not yet, not until he's reached the point of being desperate for answers, right? And then, and I quote, "It's been natural to him to touch me and hold me, to comfort me even when I don't need it. I never thought I'd have that easiness with anyone. I never thought anyone like him even existed."
Stop. Stop.
He questions why she never speaks about her past. He keeps waiting for her to open up, but he's worried she's gonna keep shutting him down if he just lets it go, or shutting him out if he just lets it go. And she says, "Not today, but one day I can promise you'll know everything." 4. He explains that the stuff with Johnson is a long story, because she's like, "Oh, wait, who's Johnson?" Because she has to, like, cover up the fact that she knows everything, right? And he's like, there's a good chance that going against Johnson will mean he will lose his career. He will lose his job for this. And all this stuff. And she's like, what? And then she goes to Hadley's room, and she's like, "Bitch, why the fuck did you tell him that I feel uncomfortable and unsafe? He feels guilty now. I've been fake struggling because I don't want him to feel guilty. I'd rather endure suspicion that hurt him than making him carry an unnecessary burden." And Hadley feels bad. So then she questions about, like, Johnson being able to take away Logan's career, and she explains all this stuff. Blah blah blah, corruption, blah blah blah. And and Hadley goes, "You can't go killing off every member of the FBI who would go against him." And she says, "Sure, I can't." All these stuff. So there's this whole thing with revenge killers where once they're done with their thing, if they don't hit a psychotic break, they do usually 9 out of 10 times commit suicide by cop, right? And Hadley's don't let Logan be the one, right? If that's what happens, don't let it be Logan. I'll do it myself. Just let me know. He wouldn't be able to live with himself. And she's all like, "I'd kill myself before I made him do it."
Yeah.
That's when Hadley realizes that's not her goal. To die and immortalize her message. And she warns her that the sheriff owns everything in the entire county. He owns the cable. You want cable? You can only get it from a local provider, which is his business. You want internet? He owns the only local provider, and no outsiders are allowed to do business there. You want water? It's his reservoir that provides it, not the cities, not the counties either. You want food? He owns every grocery store in the county, including the only restaurant. You want gas? Well, you get the idea. He also owns the hospitals in the county, hence the reason my brother got us the fuck out of that county, knowing we die if it took too long, or die if we stayed in Delaney County. The county is named after Delaney Grove. He had it named the day he took office. Went through all the proper channels to make it official. In case you wondered how powerful this man is, that's brought up later in this book, actually. I can't say anything. He basically has a lot of friends high up places that he makes a lot of money. Oh my god, there's a dog.
There's a dog.
He has his hands in every little pot there is. He's their boss and the sheriff to them. He's untouchable. You won't find many to turn against him because of that, especially since he boasts freshness to cover his sins. She asks why Delaney is the one who has all this stuff, and she explains his ancestors were the original settlers there. His last name might be Cannon, but he came from, like, his real last name is Cannon, but he came from the most influential originals there were, and he uses that to his advantage, wants to remind everyone how deep his roots are when they stand against him, and Kyle's the monster He created his image. Because Kyle, Kyle, the ringleader of everything, Kyle is the sheriff's son. Kyle, his last name is Davenport, not canon, because the sheriff wouldn't ever give Kyle his name, even his son wouldn't be good enough, only one person ever was, and that person was his daughter. She's the reason my father was convicted. Cough, cough, the way I know the answers. Woo! And so, and Hadley's like trying to ask more questions. She's like, you'll just have to wait and see, and goes to leave. And Hadley's like, where are you going? And she says, to buy some lube. Guess what? She uses the lube for.
I don't know.
She reads her father's journal entry about the night before he died or whatnot, about how he needs to survive to protect his children. Proving the fact that he died from hanging, suicide, is incorrect.
Everybody believes that one, huh?
So anyway, she's going after Morgan. Now, he teaches an MMA class. There's
so many characters.
I know, right? There's, no cameras yet. She'll be going in blind. Who knows? Against a guy who knows how to fight. She's like, I know how to fight too. And then Jake's like, the worst thing that could happen isn't just death here, Lana. If he overpowers you, you've studied his past just like I have. You're not the only girl he's hurt. And she's like, I'm aware, just like I know his father is friends with the governor, and all the accusations disappear when the woman turned into lying whores, right? So she basically has him on Bluetooth, I think, while her phone's in her pocket. And so she just walks into this man's house, right? She says, I'll paint the town red just like they painted the streets with our blood. So she just walks into his house and turns around a corner, and also he's in nothing but his underwear. Just walking around in his boxers, like a normal person. Anyways, he heard her coming, and he has a gun pointed at her. And when he notices that she's a woman, he immediately drops the gun to his side, doesn't drop it on the ground, but puts it to his side, and says, what the hell are you thinking just walking into a man's house? She purposely makes herself sound weak, and whatnot, and thinks Morgan won't fear a woman. After all, I'm harmless, at least in his mind. It's his mentality. Women are easily overpowered when he has them under him. And she explains her car broke down, and this is the first house she saw. And then she goes to clutch her heart as though it's beating too fast, which makes his eyes go to her cleavage. Basically, she purposely wore a low-cut shirt, and I'm pretty sure a push-up bra, so he could see her boobs, because, that's his thing. And she says, yeah, I saw the light on. My phone died, so I was hoping to borrow one, unless you know something about cars. Flashback stuff. Basically, this is when we learn that not only did they rape her, but they raped her brother too. And
yeah, I kind of that one.
Yeah. What's his name? Morgan. Went. Rape Marcus though, because because he's not a faggot like them. That's basically the wording.
I figured it was that, but
yeah,
still.
That's the mentality they've used a lot of the time. I just haven't mentioned it. Morgan basically was the only, so it's like a whole pack mentality type thing going on, right? And Morgan was the one, I think one of two, that didn't do immediately what Kyle wanted. Also, and I quote, Morgan is only here to fuck me. He's not here to punch me like the others. He's been waiting for a day when he could do this. And his whole thing was, one, playing with her boobs the whole time, and two, wanting her to like it.
That's not how that works, but okay.
I'm not going to go into exact details, because I love you too much. But he does say, just remember, I could have stopped all this if you stopped finding me a long time ago. Because that's a sane thing.
I have a good imagination. I can imagine.
Yeah.
What's happening here.
So, anyways, current time, Morgan grabs onto her throat, and pushes her against the wall. She's all like, oh my god. And he also shoves a knee between her legs. And then he drops the gun to the floor. Dude, that's dangerous. It could go off randomly if you do that. So once she hears the gun hit the ground, she's all like smiling. She's all smiling, and he's all like confused. And then she heals the heel of her palm to his nose, breaking his nose, which is something he did to her. I feel like I should mention. When she tried to fight him, he punched her in the nose, and broke her nose, that night. So, and she's all like, been waiting a long time to repay that favor.
Yeah.
So basically, she beats him up. And then she cuffs his hands and drags a cable connected to the cuffs to tie off at a beam in his living room, like a floor beam type thing, right? Against the wall. I thought it was I thought it was a roof beam for most of this chapter until the end, when I learned actually he's been laying down this whole time, not hanging from the air. So, good times. She ties his feet together, and pulls an electric nail gun from her purse, oversized purse.
Oh, God.
She uses the, nail gun to, secure his feet to the ground.
Oh.
And then pulls out the loop. She actually bought loop. She does her normal taunting thing, and then, she puts on gloves, tears down his boxers, and, starts using the loop in places.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know, this whole time, he's hard. He's into it.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Pause.
That's her same fact. Yeah, she's all like, maybe he thinks I'm like actually gonna get him off right now or something, but no. Instead, she's like dragging a knife down his chest and whatnot, and then he's all like into it until she brings the knife to his dick. And then that's when he realizes and he starts freaking out.
Why would he be freaking out in the first place?
I don't know. Apparently he's a power bottom, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but like, still.
He says, I had nothing to do with what they did to Marcus. I swear that wasn't me. And she says, you don't get details until the next book. Don't worry. She says, you held the mirror. You laughed as Kyle took the slice. You're the one who encouraged Kyle to redeem himself in your eyes. You're the reason it happened. Why should you keep this? He begs.
Wait. I think I just. Oh God.
What do you think you just?
I think just keep talking.
Okay. She is all like smiling darkly and is like, I remember your response when we begged, fuck them, kill them both. And then basically there's this whole thing where she like cuts off his dick and all the stuff, and then he's throwing up, and she sprays gasoline around, and then douses his body, and she says the most painful way to die is by fire, and she goes, I wonder who volunteered to find out that information. Oh, also I'd like you to know, as this is happening, she's singing. She's an icon. So,
I hear you
she
like
strikes a match.
A bit too much.
She strikes
Not
a match.
the giggle.
She strikes a match, and she says, I don't even need to hear you confess your sins. And then watches the flames slowly eat away at the matchstick, almost reaching my fingers before I drop it into his body. I letting him watch and wait. And then she leaves saying, pretty soon they'll all burn. Anyways, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. How many does she have left?
Um, I don't know. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look at the list because they do. She does give an exact number of people who were there that night in the next one. So I'm gonna have to look at the list. But she has more people on her list on top of the ones who were there, like the people who like covered it up and things. So there's a ton. Right. She has at least two more of the actual list. I think there was Morgan and another guy she wanted to do before getting to Kyle, who was going to be her last of the ones there that night. But she doesn't have enough time for both, so she does Morgan, and then plans to do the other guy afterwards. So there's Kyle and that guy left of that list. But I know for a fact she has plans for other people as well. So like, there's still plenty of people on the list. Don't worry. Um. Good times.
But it's definitely more than 10, which is insane.
I know, right? So I almost, when it says how many there were, I almost messaged you and went and freaked out at it, but I didn't. I want to save it. So you could say, what the fuck? On the podcast.
Don't you love it when I say, what the fuck, LOL?
Yeah. It's not brought up until later when she's on a car ride, because she goes on a road trip with Hadley.
Honey has.
But until later. But basically, oh my goodness, kitty cat. Hadley's at one point asks her, because she was like the one investigating this kill, right? She's all like, hey, why were the burn patterns so weird? And basically she used the loop to change the, like, affect the burn patterns. Anyway!
Oh, how into what?
I don't know. I don't know. And you know, maybe it says. I think it does say. So when I get to that part, I'll explain it. Anyway, so Logan's at Delaney Grove. We're in Delaney Grove, bitches. We're here. We're finally here. He's trying to ask the sheriff, what's beyond the woods, that the cabin that they rented out from him, that they're staying at. And the sheriff just blatantly ignores him. The sheriff is 6'3", and his active deputies are more plentiful than small town sheriff departments I've been around in the past. One town hall / sheriff's department is large enough to host all the deputies also, and it appears Delaney Grove is their central headquarters, so to speak. The police department has 5 officers on its own, but the county, so many more. 23 deputies? Who needs that many in a county this small? So basically, Johnson and the sheriff are ignoring Logan and his authority, and he tells one of his deputies to show them around, and that he's going to go with Johnson to the fort. Elise questions what the fort is, and the deputy explains that's the town hall. And it's very clear this deputy has a thing for Elise. You know, a woman who has recently hit by a car, hit by a serial killer, has multiple broken lips, 2 broken bones in one of her legs, and a broken arm, and is on crutches. Yeah, he's real into that.
Oh.
So Craig snickers at that, and she casts him a glare. And she's like, they seriously don't have women here, do they? And he explains, not in uniform. There's only 2 women who work in uniform, and they're only in dispatch. Their names are Tanya and Tasha. And they have their own separate outfits. That's suspicious. That's weird.
There's so many people.
I know, right? They're like, Elise can get some information from her new admirer. Hadley is bringing Lana with her when she drives in, because there was another Delaney Grove related killing last night, 2 towns over. Cough, cough, it's Morgan. And he recognizes that no one in the town wants to talk about any of these deaths. So they're all like, okay, we're gonna go off and do all this stuff. And the deputy's like, actually, you can't. I'm supposed to escort you into your cabins while they hold down the town meeting and escort you anywhere you need to go in case you need something. And Elise is like, no, we're gonna go question people. And he's freaking out and says you can't do that. Sheriff Cannon said to keep you guys here and take you wherever you need to go, but he doesn't want our people spooked by this dark issue. That's the exact word, dark issue. And Logan's like, dark issue? What the fuck? They're like, why are you holding a town meeting, right? And it's so that the sheriff can explain his version of what's happening and why there's FBI in their town. And they're like, wait a second, nobody watches the news? And he explains the sheriff controls the news stations we get. We have our own broadcasting network. If we need people to know something immediately, it'll interrupt their regular service for the emergency broadcast.
This is so fucking weird.
They admit this is very culty. This is very, very culty.
Yeah.
So Loki's like, okay, we have to prove that we're in charge. Print out flyers with information on our profiler or on our profile, and start handing them out to everyone. And we'll divide into teams to ask questions. Craig goes to get go to print off flyers. Yeah. So they profile the sheriff as an extreme case of alpha personality instead of a psychopath. Oh, so he's not having the town meeting about the fact that there's a serial killer, apparently. He's having the town meeting because there's weird stuff. A lot of random doors were found open that morning to at least 50 houses. Some mirrors were found missing, but that's about it.
Oh.
It seems weird.
Yeah. We already been recording for 2.5 hours.
I know, shut up. This is what happens when I take 213 notes on a book.
Yeah, I noticed.
The sheriff is holding a meeting to find out who did it, which they question because that's like weird. So they're putting up the flyers. The deputy's like, "Hey, you can't do that!" Trying to stop them. And they spot a woman coming out of the grocery store, tucking her child's head, and Logan notices multiple people running, trying to get out quickly, panicked. So Craig and him dart across the street, ready to pull out their guns. When the wall in the back says, "The water will run red, just like your sins. The truth won't be painted over anymore." And all this stuff, they basically realize that he's purposely fucking with the town's heads. The end game isn't just murder. He wants to terrorize the town. Jake made the special red paint that is time charged or something like that, so it looks like nothing is there until the time happens, and then it magically appears, so it looks like it's just magically being written by a ghost. And in a culty town, that makes a lot of people freak the fuck out.
That would make anybody rightfully freak the fuck out. Like, what?
I know, right?
I mean, I'm just seeing things again with whatever.
The same message is being found in the houses with open doors. It's popping up all over town. They've literally seen it appear in thin air as if it's being written. And then there's people running away from the park. So they go to the park, and the fountain in the middle of the park is running red water. And so are the sprinklers that pop up from the ground. And there's a garden hose that is gushing red. One girl is slapping the red water off her that is running down her face like thin blood. People are covered in it. It's like a bad massacre horror film from the 70s, when the blood was portrayed too red and thick. And so basically, and of course this town is crumbling within one day of his mind games. Fun times. Yeah, they, put, I think just red food dye, just a shit ton of red food dye in the water supply, because all the water comes from the reservoir that the sheriff owns.
Yeah.
Right? And Lana informs Hadley that, like, don't worry, it's not, like, harmful to anyone. She doesn't want to, like, harm any kids or anything. Right? Oh my god, so they're on the road trip to Delaney Grove. Hadley and Lana. And Lana's thinking, weirdly, she's the only female sort of friend I've had other than Lindy. We weren't ever too close since Lindy was much older, but she was my sitter when I was growing up, and we talked. Never mind, I've never had a real female friend. This is why I call this the female friendship one.
Yeah.
So, she's watching on her security cameras on her phone, cause, like, Jake put up a bunch of cameras all over the town, right, to watch everything. So she's just watching people run and scream. And so they talk about, so they're talking about Hadley's sexuality. For some reason, the conversation of penises, oh yeah, so Hadley's like, we should talk about something that isn't murder. And she's like girls talk about penises, right? And Hadley says, considering you dismember them from bodies, I'd rather not discuss penises with you. She informs her Logan's penis safe. And Hadley's like, I don't want to know anything. And then she's like, wait, never mind. Logan mentioned you are into girls, so I guess penises don't really appeal to you. And she's like, Logan has a big mouth. Right? And she's like, you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. You know, how the serial killer is affirming her sexual identity more than my own mother did. Anyway, Hadley claims she just doesn't like people telling her business. Besides, I don't really put myself in a box. I'm not 100% sure of my sexuality. It's just men are attractive, but harder to trust than women. Which means that I fully have a chance with Hadley, which is the most important aspect I've learned about this book. I'm sorry. Do you not want me to date the redhead FBI agent who's smart and beautiful and smart? Because I love her. Anyways, so, some more words that they made sure popped up. We're on the street where they were attacked, where Lana and Marcus were attacked, right? And it says, the angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Yep. So, after everything, the town painted over that spot, made it black again, pretend as though the red stains aren't there just because you can't see them. Cough, cough. She, like, compares the town to, like, sheep, and the sheriff as, like, the leader, right? All this stuff, which is why I messaged you, Bob, bitch, earlier. But, after only one day of terrorizing them, they're already, on the verge of an all-out mutiny, so, good times. And then, so they get there, they get to the town, and Hadley's like, okay, I'll let Logan know that we're here, and then her words end on a shrill scream when my door is ripped open, and Logan reaches in, he put me out of the car with one pull. Hadley's freaking out, because she's like, oh my god, we're in this crazy, culty town, and you do that shit? Says the girl who knowingly drove the killer into town. Very funny. So, Logan takes her back to his cabin. She purposely doesn't look around where it'll be the cabin where Kyle used to take me. This is the beginning of the hints that before that night, her and Kyle had a history. Logan, says that I'm seriously considering saying the truth about this mindless obsession I have with you. And then, oh yeah, the timing of our arrival is perfect. Halloween is just around the corner. There's a reason I picked Myers as my surname. I didn't get that joke until when I was almost done with the fourth book. Because trust me, there's a joke in that one about Michael Myers. It's funny. They're being cute and whatnot, and she tells him, sometimes I think you're an illusion, and that now this is really happening, that I really died 10 years ago after the accident. And he says, I'm real, Lana. As they're about to bang, and, Hadley brings in their items into the, like, cabin, and she's like, here you go, you sluts, or something like that. Horny bastards. Yay. And then the next chapter starts with a quote, if you have tears, prepare to shed them now. Okay. So, she asks, post-coital, she asks Logan if he could go to any place, where would it be? And he says Greece. And he says, because my stepdad always said if he had a choice, he'd be drunk in Greece and in love, but he wasted all his 6 years on my mom. And Lana laughs. Right?
I'm
He says that his stepdad was great, and she says my father was great too. He did everything he could to make sure my brother and I had what we needed. He was our world, and we were his. He asked about her mother, wanting to pounce while she's speaking about the past, and she says, amazing, she baked. I loved it when she baked. My father always said if she was a witch, children would willfully jump into the oven just because of how good it smelled. He was a bit of a morbid sense of humor type of guy, but my mother loved him. I never understood how rare that love was when I was younger. Like most things you see daily, I took it for granted. He notices the sadness in her eyes. He kisses each of her eyelids.
stop.
He asks her where she would go if she could go anywhere. And she says, I'd go to Greece with you. I'm fine. After everything that happened in book 4, I'm not fine, but like...
This is gonna be so messy when it ends, and
I'm gonna need so much therapy after the series.
You already need so much therapy.
That is accurate, but beside the point.
Like, I'm willing to pay for your therapist at this point, and there ain't no money to be had.
Alright, so, they're in bed canoodling, and she asks if you found out I wasn't this perfect girl you want me to be, would you still love me? And he says, Lana, I don't expect you to be perfect. I think you are perfect. At least perfect for me. And she looks like she's about to cry, but forces a smile. And he's like, what did I say wrong? And she's like, but what if I wasn't perfect? It's generally distressed. And he says, then I'd love you anyways. I don't use that word liberally. Well, at least not since high school. But everyone uses it in high school without knowing what it really means to love someone. The look in her eyes is a little suspicious. I think Kyle. I think that's why. From things that I know, Kyle. But then he says, yes, I'd love you regardless. In case you haven't noticed, I go a little crazy when it's been too long since I've seen you, and you give me a reason to want to live instead of just exist. You accepted every piece of me and dealt with the scraps that I could offer, and never complained. Those eyes find me when you walk into a room like I'm the only person you're looking for. You hold your head up when others would cower. You stand tall when others would fold in on themselves. Your strength is beyond amazing, and you always keep me guessing, which is my favorite thing about you, as much as it's infuriating. And you smile for me like you smile for no one else. That makes a man feel powerful. And when I'm with you, I smile like I never have before. It's a sense of equality, a partnership even. It's rare to find someone who matches you step for step. And you do. I love that about you. I love you. And then Donnie is like breaking down the door saying that, Logan, we have a break in the case. And Lana is all like, God damn it, he has horrible timing. And he says, they always do, one day I'll just throw away the phone and hide from them. And she says, then we can disappear to Greece.
I hate you.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're at the very, very end. So Craig
Thank
called up.
God.
Craig called up and said a guy came up to him and told him we need to speak to Diana Barnes. Remember, Diana is a list of 2 people who tried to help Lana and her brother. He wouldn't say anything else, but Johnson is on a rampage. Says we're inciting terror by posting those flyers and demanding we tear them all down. Elisa and Lisa are putting up more while the deputies are tearing them down. Good times. So they go to Diana's house. And they don't even knock. She just looks through the window and sees them coming and then opens the door and says, you the FBI? And they're like, yes, we're here for, and she cuts them off saying, I know what you're here for. You work for that Johnson guy. And Logan informs them they have different agendas, and he's about getting the truth about what happened 10 years ago, and that if they do, they may be able to save more lives. And she says, ain't a life you can save that we're saving. This whole town needs to burn. Only reason I'm still here is because I knew this day would eventually come. One day someone would want to hear them baby's story and finally give them justice. It's not in this one, it's in the beginning of the next one, but Diana is black. That is a thing. It's not important in any way. I'm just bringing that up. The diversity in this book, I'm just bringing that up. It's described that her skin is dark chocolate colored, I think, at the beginning of the next one, but like it's never brought up again. Or or anything. Basically, she offers them anything. She sits them down at her couch, and this is the very end. This is how the book ends. She calls up her son and says, you remember how they threatened her son if she said anything, right? She calls up her son and says, you still dating that pretty lawyer lady, the one with all the security at her apartment building? Isa says she listens to the person on the other line. Good, go stay with her until I tell you otherwise. Mama's about to tell a story that's been burning a hole for over 10 years. And that's how book 3 ends.
Interesting.
I would like you to know, book 4 starts with her explaining everything, and it goes into detail.
How are you feeling?
Well, now that I've had 2 hours and 43 minutes to sit away from book 4, I'd like you to know that I need to immediately start book 5. I'm not okay. Like that book. That's
valid, Bessie.
That book. Oh my gosh, my back hurts from sitting up straight this whole time.
Imagine sitting up straight. What the hell?
It's only because I'm so invested in this that I sat up straight.
It's cold.
I know, right? I'm curled up with a heating pad right now.
It's not even actually cold. I just don't have pants on.
Alright.
Yeah, no.
Opinions
It's
on this book.
outside, so it's like 47 though.
Thoughts and opinions on this book.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
What's going on is that they've reached Atlantic Grove. They're about to get answers. There's been a conspiracy cover-up in the whole entire FBI headquarters about everything, including the sheriff and the sheriff's son and all these other people. Yeah, I think that's about it.
There's just a lot of information to process. That's all. Have you eaten today?
Yes, I ate this morning.
Okay, good. Just asking. I'm probably about to make me some lunch. Is it not a podcast episode unless I have a snack or a meal?
Let me stop recording this one. I will also start the next one, and you can make your lunch.
We'll see how that goes.
Listen, trust me, you need to know what happens. You need to know. You need to know. More like I need you to know what happens at the end of this book.
Yeah, I fear if you don't tell me, you're gonna combust.
I will. If I don't tell you, I won't read the next one this weekend, and then I'll cry into a corner because I won't be able to read the next one this weekend, because I need to wait to tell you so you can have the revelations as I have the revelations.
I hope you know, there's a lot of voice messages I didn't listen to, or messages I didn't fully read, so I'm probably missing a lot of stuff anyway, from last night when you started it at least.
Do you have any final thoughts about book 3?
What the hell?
And thank you.